The cafeteria was always the loudest place in Ridgewood High, a chaotic sea of chatter, clattering trays, and the constant scent of fried food lingering in the air. Amelia Foster sat at the far end of the lunchroom, alone as usual, her tray holding nothing but an apple and a small cup of yogurt. She had learned to eat quietly, keep her head down, and ignore the whispers. But today, she could already feel the stares burning into her back before the first bite touched her lips. It started like it always did, with Derek Lawton. Derek was the school's golden boy, captain of the basketball team, straight white teeth, and a smile that made teachers overlook almost anything he did. But to Amelia, he was a nightmare that refused to end. He strutted toward her table with his usual entourage, laughing too loudly at something that probably wasn't even funny. She tried to ignore him, but that only seemed to fuel his cruel energy. "Hey, Piggy." Derek's voice sliced through the cafeteria noise, silencing a few nearby conversations. The word hit Amelia like a slap. She froze, the apple halfway to her mouth. "What's on the menu today?" "Oh wait, let me guess. You're just fattening up for winter, right?" His friends burst into laughter, high-fiving each other. Amelia's cheeks burned. She wasn't even overweight, just a little curvier than the skinny girls Derek seemed to worship. But that didn't matter. Derek had found a nickname that made her shrink into herself, and he wielded it like a weapon. She tried to keep her breathing steady, pretending she couldn't hear him, but he wasn't finished. He reached for the apple on her tray, holding it up like a trophy. "Better save this for later, Piggy. Don't want you running out of snacks." More laughter. More stares. Amelia's hands trembled, but she stayed silent. What Derek didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Amelia wasn't always like this. 3 years ago, she had been a fighter. Her father, a retired Marine, had trained her in self-defense since she could walk. She had spent countless evenings in the garage with her dad, perfecting her strikes, her balance, her focus. But when her father died suddenly, something inside her broke. She stopped going to the gym, stopped caring about defending herself. She let people like Derek think she was weak. That was about to change. Amelia caught sight of something in the reflection of the cafeteria window, her own eyes, not full of shame this time, but a slow-burning fury. She could feel her father's voice in her head, "You're stronger than they think, kid." She stood up slowly, and for the first time in months, she looked Derek in the eye. "Put the apple down." Her voice was calm, almost too calm. Derek smirked, clearly amused by her sudden boldness. "Oh, Piggy's got some fight in her," he taunted, taking a bite of her apple just to prove his point. The juice dripped down his chin. Amelia stepped forward, closing the space between them. The lunchroom seemed to go completely silent now, the tension thick enough to choke on. She didn't care who was watching. "Last warning, Derek," she said. "Put it down." He laughed, tossing the half-eaten apple back onto her tray. "What are you gonna do, Piggy? Oink at me?" That was it. In one swift movement, Amelia grabbed his wrist, twisted it sharply, and pinned his arm behind his back. Derek yelped a high-pitched, almost comical sound that sent a ripple of shock through the crowd. She didn't hurt him badly, not yet. But she made sure he understood one thing: she was done being his target. She leaned close to his ear, her voice low but deadly. "You ever call me that again, I'll make sure you squeal louder." The crowd erupted into whispers and gasps as she released him. Derek stumbled backward, rubbing his wrist, his face red, not from pain, but from embarrassment. His friends didn't laugh this time. Amelia sat back down, picked up her yogurt, and ate it like nothing had happened. But inside, she knew this was just the beginning. Derek wasn't going to let it go, and neither was she. That night, Amelia went down to the basement where her dad's old punching bag still hung, dusty but solid. She wrapped her hands, took her stance, and started hitting. Each punch was a promise: next time, she wouldn't just make him yelp. She'd make him regret every word. Chapter 2: The Squeal heard around the school. The next few days were like walking through a minefield. Amelia knew Derek wouldn't take his public embarrassment lightly. The stares in the hallway had changed, some filled with quiet admiration, others with disbelief. But Derek's glare followed her everywhere, and she could practically hear the gears turning in his head, plotting his payback. It came on Friday. The gymnasium was packed for the school's annual pep rally, banners waving, the basketball team lined up to take center stage. Derek stood at the front, smiling like a king addressing his court. Amelia was sitting in the third row with her class, pretending to scroll through her phone, but she could feel the tension building like a storm cloud overhead. Halfway through the rally, the principal handed Derek the microphone. He was supposed to talk about teamwork and school spirit. Instead, he cleared his throat, scanned the crowd, and locked eyes on Amelia. "Before I start," he said with that fake friendly grin, "I just want to give a shout out to someone really special." His tone dripped with sarcasm. "Amelia Foster, our very own cafeteria Piggy." The crowd gasped, then erupted into awkward laughter. Derek milked it. "Don't worry, Amelia, I'm sure we can get you a bigger uniform when you try out for cheerleading. Oh wait, you'd break the pyramid." Amelia felt her chest tighten. For a split second, the old instinct to shrink away came back. But then, she remembered the sound Derek made when she twisted his arm in the cafeteria. That high-pitched yelp. And she realized something: he was only powerful because people like her stayed quiet. Not today. Amelia stood. The chatter died almost instantly. She walked down the bleacher steps, every eye following her. Derek's smirk wavered, just slightly. She stopped right in front of him, the microphone still in his hand. "Let me borrow that," she said. Derek hesitated, then stupidly handed it over, maybe thinking she was about to humiliate herself. She raised the mic to her mouth, her voice steady but cold. "You think calling me Piggy makes you funny? Makes you powerful? All it really does is show everyone how small you are inside, Derek." The crowd murmured, surprised by her boldness. Derek reached for the mic, but she stepped back. "You like making people squeal, right? Let's see how you like it." Before anyone could react, Amelia dropped the microphone, grabbed Derek by the wrist just like before, but this time, she didn't stop at a simple twist. She swept her leg behind his, hooked his ankle, and in one sharp motion, sent him sprawling onto the polished gym floor. He let out that same high-pitched, humiliating squeal, loud enough to echo through the rafters. The gym went dead silent for half a second, then exploded into cheers, laughter, and applause. Derek scrambled to his feet, red-faced and breathing hard, but the damage was done. Every phone in the place was recording. The squeal was already on its way to becoming school legend. Amelia bent to pick up the mic. "That," she said calmly, pointing toward Derek, "is what happens when you mess with the wrong person." She set the mic down, turned, and walked back to her seat while the crowd roared her name. By Monday, the video had gone viral in the school. Derek avoided her completely, and for the first time in years, Amelia walked the halls without fear. People she barely knew gave her nods of respect, some even asking if she'd teach them self-defense. That night, she went back to her dad's punching bag, gloves on, sweat dripping down her forehead. She hit the bag hard, but this time it wasn't out of anger. It was out of strength. Out of pride. She finally understood what her dad had meant all those years ago: "You're stronger than they think."